question. What am I
That's what the
looking
military
at?
does a lot in their.
They're trying to catch me in something. What's going on?
Combat medics in the Army, we had it the worst. The Air Force seemed to have it
Tammy,
so nice.
Yes,
can they hear us out in the lobby?
they should be able to now.
Okay.
We'll see. Army, we had. I swear we're the only one who carried it. We'll try. And it's still our barracks were at the top of this hill, and we had to go about 3/4 of a mile just up this hill. Just
Anybody on go-to meeting, can you hear us?
3 times we were marching like 4 miles.
Make sure that I don't have this issue like I did last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work off the dining facility food.
I like that yell when they yell at you and you're thinking to yourself, how old am I now?
Yeah, I know.
Justin or Chief Lackey, can you guys hear us?
My age.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But it's over.
Yeah, look at you.
Dead air.
Yeah, Council would like to really make sure that they're available.
And can you hear us?
I don't even see her on the screen.
Can you hear us, Ann?
Are we even on yet?
I seen her unmute.
You have it, we don't. I don't know.
She must not be able to hear us. Let's see. Ann, can you hear us on go-to meeting?
Normally should be a picture or something up there, wouldn't it?
I
Wow.
see her picture over here.
Oh, you, not
I
on
don't have
mine.
the pictures up on that screen.
Oh. Yeah, normally we see who's plugged in.
Nobody's responding. No. Why? Because this isn't on. Okay, can you hear us now?
Sounds like an AT&T TV commercial.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Can anybody hear us on go-to meeting?
They've gone too. They're signing in. Get it?
Test, test.
Okay. See if I can do it on my phone.
No.
Can you do it on your phone?
My dad says he can see but no sound.
He can see but no sound. Okay, well that happens.
Can you hear us now?
I do, yes.
Woohoo!
Hello, can your dad hear you?
Hey, good evening, Ann.
I just gotta push all the right buttons.
There's a million buttons here to push. How about Chief and Justin?
They are on the line.
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right,
Very good.
okay, good.
Well, in that case, I'm going to call this City Council of the City of Escalon regular meeting of November 16th, 2020 to order. I'd like to welcome back Councilmember Peter Crumick. Good to see you back. And we have a special treat tonight. And that is Cub Scout Pack 263 with Cub Master Sean Stroman. And they are going to be coming up here to offer us the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sweet. All right. What are they going up where? Oh, they're going the other side. Oh, this way, guys, behind us.
Over here, gentlemen.
You're gonna,
Ladies and gentlemen, and the floor will be yours as soon as everybody's up here.
there we go.
So that way everybody can see it. have tonight? We're good night. However, this microphone is live and ready to go. You, Cub Scouts, did a wonderful job. Very impressive. So what I'd like to do now is, if you don't mind introducing your names, and let's start with this gentleman here.
My name is Archer. My name is Everett.
Okay, sir?
My name is Reese.
Okay, thank you. Reese, nice to meet you.
My name is Delilah.
Lila, nice to meet you. You ready to go now? Hello? Okay. Almost. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Bill Franklin.
Good to meet you. Yes, sir.
My name is Declan Stroman.
Nice to meet you, too. Yes, sir.
My name is Warren.
Warren, nice to meet you.
My name is Lux.
Very nice to meet you.
My name is Emily.
Emily, very nice to meet you. And, sir? What's your name?
I'm River.
River, nice to meet you. Well, I tell you, and let's see, where is Cub Master Sean? Way in the back. Would you like to say a couple words about what the troop is doing and what they're going to be doing for Escalon? Oh, please come up here to the microphone.
Thanks. So, as Mayor Swift alluded to, my name is Sean Stroman. I'm the proud Cub Master of Cub Scout Pack 263. We're chartered under the American Legion, and with COVID, it's kind of been a little crazy, but I want to say a special thanks to all of our kids, as well as all of their parents, because even through the trying times that we're dealing with COVID, we still have a very active Cub Scout pack here in Escalon. So thank you, parents. Thank you, Cubs. The reason that we're here tonight is because in the month of November, we are studying citizenship and what it means to be a good citizen in Escalon and in California and in the United States. So I guess our next thing that we're working on, our next event is we were contacted by the Lions Club, and we're gonna be selling popcorn at the upcoming movie night. So for those of you that are coming to the movie in December, we'll be there selling popcorn. Come support our Escalon pack. Thank you all very much for your time tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let's give him a big round of applause. Escalon's always a better place with a strong Cub Scout pack, and it's so good to see that the pack is back, especially with a great group of kiddos this year. So we'll be seeing you guys very soon. And excellent job tonight. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, we're safe tonight. Sleep. Pack is back and we're in sack. Okay.
We're all watching what's going on.
Understand when they play PlayStation, look at them.
And by the way, a big thank you for all the parents that are involved in this as well. It takes a lot of time, not just from the Cub Master, but I know from every last one of you parents as well. Getting the kiddos to all these activities, so thank you guys very much also for your involvement. So, and thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Merkin?
Here.
Councilmember Kremick?
Here.
Welcome back. Councilmember Legero?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves?
Here.
And Mayor Swift.
Here. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar.
We got a
Oh, I'm sorry.
presentation
Oh,
first.
yes, we do. Presentation. Ann Shaddix, you're up.
Thank you. Katie, did you have a handout for them, please? And then,
Okay. These would be for the other council members.
Okay.
And these also.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and I primarily want to thank the Mayor Pro Tem who gave me the nerve and the encouragement to come here today to let my voice be heard, because I have an issue that I'm, like I've told you before, I'm extremely passionate about. Right after the pandemic started, the senior planning team was concerned about our seniors and how to keep them active in the community. So we put together some walking challenges. We challenged them to walk. We gave them gifts. We gave them recognition. We did everything we could to keep people active. Not long after it started, then I decided to walk a different path, and that was down McHenry. As I walked, and if you have gone in this direction, as you walk totally unaware, you are in the middle of a problem with raised sidewalk, broken cement, no clear direction for you to get out of that predicament safely. And if you make a wrong decision, then you will fall. I got past the first one somewhat traumatized because of what I went through and not knowing how to get out of it safely, only to keep going to another one, which was even worse. Well, then I stopped because I realized that it was not safe. So I came back and I talked to my friends and I said, have you walked down McHenry? Have you seen the sidewalks? They're not safe. And guess what they told me? Oh yeah, that problem has been here forever. And the City Council is very aware of that problem, that we have sidewalks that are not safe, and they are city property. So I then became even more concerned, because safety has to be one of our #1 concerns for our residents and for our seniors. We want to make sure the police department keeps us safe, which they do, and they do well, and the fire department. But that safety, our safety, sometimes is in your hands. This is in your hands. We have an issue. We have an issue that whether you're carrying a cane, whether you're in a walker, whether you're in a wheelchair, or you're just very stable on your feet, that you can walk safely down the street. In front of the City Hall, in front of the police department, that should be the model of what we want the city to look like and all the streets to look like. So I'm asking you tonight. Now, I know I'm very familiar with budget processes and finance planning and all of that. I understand it, and I'm smart enough to know that I can't come here tonight and ask you for a blank check to have the sidewalks fixed on Tuesday of next week. I know that can't be done. But what I feel comfortable about, and what I'm going to ask, is that at your December 14th meeting, you, as the City Council, invite me to come and have a plan for fixing those sidewalks. A plan that says we're going to start this date, it will end this date, this is what we're going to fix. How you're going to fix it is not my concern. My concern is that those sidewalks are safe for our seniors, that are safe for every resident of the city. Safety should be always built into the budget, so there's always room to address emergency items. I see this, folks, as an emergency. I do not see it as something that can be delayed any longer. I'm asking, please, please accept my request to put a plan together. I will help in any way I can. Put a plan together. When I have that plan, I have 55 people that signed a petition in support of me presenting this tonight. But you know what? I could have easily had 155 because I talked to so many people, but I thought 55 was enough. Once that plan is in place, I commit to you, I will call every single person that signed it personally and tell them the city is concerned about your safety. They have a plan. This problem will be resolved. I respectfully ask, please, please be the solution to this problem. Thank you.
And I want to thank you very much for coming up and talking to us about this. And I also want to say thank you very much for your willingness to be able to offer your services with staff to assist in getting a plan in place. Thank you very, very much for that. Okay, consent calendar. These items are considered routine in nature, and I do not have the first page. You think I would have had this memorized by now. Anyway, they're considered routine in nature and are acted upon by a single action unless requested by an individual council member or member of the public for special consideration. Is there any desire to pull any of these? And if not, then I will need a
Move on
motion.
staff recommendation if there's no desire to pull anything.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to pass the consent calendar in its entirety. We'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion passes 5-0. Staff communications.
Mayor and council, included in your packet for the month of October were the department reports, including the treasurer's report, police department, animal control, development services, building department, public works, the water department report, and the wastewater treatment plant. And then while we also provided a copy of the Citizen Advisory Committee quarterly report. Unfortunately, we had already prepared the agenda and we didn't get that in the packet. So that was given to you guys under separate cover. And staff is available to answer any questions on those items.
Are there any questions on the items and the reports presented in the staff reports? Okay, are there any other staff communications?
So, just today, the governor has, the San Joaquin County will be put back to purple as of tomorrow. And the county is really asking for people to go get tested. And the reasoning why they're encouraging people to get tested is so that we can truly understand where our infection is, whether there is a true infection. So right now, if you're having only those that believe they're infected go get tested for COVID, you're only seeing the positives, so you're not seeing those that are out there. Well, maybe the matrix needs to be different that the state is basing that on. That's not what our thing is. So that's not what we have in front of us. So staff is working with the San Joaquin County OES, and we are trying to get some testing sites here in town to make it more convenient. We did have one event with testing at the community center. But I'm hoping that they will be able to accommodate us with a few more, testing days here, so, that should be upcoming. With that said, with us going back to, Purple, I would ask, what the council's desire is for future meetings, whether we want to do the council in-house and audience virtually, or how you guys would like to proceed with our future meetings. Our first meeting in December, I think, is one that we would definitely want at least the council here, because we have, the appointment of the new term for 2 council members, and then we have, the appointment of the mayor. So, but I'm looking for direction on how to handle, that meeting and future meetings while we're in the purple tier.
But we're kinda stuck on the next one. We need to be here to do it.
And I know
At least the
council
council
needs to
does.
be here, yeah, and that's really like, do we wanna do council here and that the audience is by virtual only?
Has there been any clear advisement from the county or the state in terms of what they are strongly suggesting? Because I'm trying to tread lightly here.
Yeah, so I don't think the county has opened up their meetings to the public. So, and today it's kind of fresh for me to know what all other cities are doing, but there's only a couple of cities that have currently opened up their meetings to the public. Most of them would be council present and audience virtual, even before the change today.
What cities, Tammy, have opened up? What cities do come to mind?
I believe that Ripon has theirs open for council and audience. I
With
don't know.
distancing and so forth and so on?
Yes, I don't know what their plans are since today's change. Tracy, I believe, council is present, but no audience. Stockton, I think, does allow for audience, but it's limited space, of course. Manteca is closed to audience.
We never really have a problem with the crowd here, so if people came and kept distance, I don't see any problem with that.
Okay,
I-
well, again, I'm asking the council for
Yeah,
direction
I think the
on
only
that.
issue that might come into play, frankly, is this next council meeting, versus most meetings. And I would surmise, and you either give me a yes or a no, that most of the people who are in the audience tonight prefer an in-audience present meeting versus a virtual meeting. I'm gonna make that assumption. I feel pretty good about that. So the only question is, do we continue these meetings as is, however, with limited space? And therefore, how do we handle the next meeting? Because typically, there's a crowd, as you know.
But I believe there's not enough of a crowd that space is an issue.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, do you see, you've been here as much as I have.
yeah,
Well, for most meetings, I think what he's saying is
Because of
typically
the
when
next-
because we're doing the appointment of a mayor and the swearing in of 2 new additional terms, for council
Well, maybe
members.
family members should be first dibs to get in. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
yeah,
family
that's
members.
essentially what we're talking about. I mean, personally, I would greatly prefer to keep it as is. I know what the guidances are, and I know what the science is, and I think that for the most part, we're following the science in here. That's just my opinion. Council members?
I would agree with you.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay,
Keep it as is. I would just say, as a caution, though, you'll want to keep the seating limited.
correct. So we'll only
Appearances
leave
and
our
all that.
seats as they are, so.
Yeah, okay.
And then, just as a note, I'm actually out of the office the week of Thanksgiving, just to let you guys know. And other than that, I don't have any other staff items. Dominique, do you
Dominique?
have anything?
I don't have anything specific, just in development services, we've been pretty busy despite things that are going on, and so that's been great to see, a lot of stuff going on in town regarding businesses and expansions and stuff like that, so. Good close of the year despite the conditions.
Very good. Chief, Justin, anything special tonight?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, only thing I had a question for Stroman, if he was still available. But
He's
I guess
not.
I missed the opportunity. I'll call him tomorrow. But no, I don't have anything as of now.
All right, very good. All right, thank you then. Moving on to matters presented from the audience. At this time, the public may address the city council on any item not on the agenda that is within the authority of the council. The speaker is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. And again, we have a number of members in the audience tonight, as well as on GoToMeeting, and possibly some on the phone as well. Let me start out with anybody in our presence in this audience tonight, if they would like to have anything, if they have anything to say at this time.
Hi, my name is Peggy Roach of 1510 Adriana Way. I just wanted to follow up on Ann Shattuck's presentation. I work with her on the Escalon Fun Bunch Senior Committee, so I'm really committed to the senior problems too in Escalon, and I agree with everything she said. If some of you council members can't see the pictures very clearly, maybe you want to look at Mayor Swift's pictures. Those are larger. I don't know if all of you have walked the street here that we're talking about, but it pretty much starts here and goes north all the way to Marval. So in addition to our seniors, I have some friends who babysit, and they tell me that they love to go with their grandchildren to Marval or to the dollar store. They can't even get, there's no way you can get a stroller through those areas at all. You pretty much either have to pick up the stroller and move it to the side, or I don't know if Mayor Swift has seen problems with the sprinkler heads, but you would really have to go into the flower beds with the stroller. I also witnessed former Councilman Van Houten's son, who's in a wheelchair. I saw him actually have to go put his wheelchair into the roadway of McHenry to even pass going to Marval, and I was in my car and I saw him do it, and I thought that was horrible that he would have to go into McHenry in his wheelchair, that he couldn't even pass going to Marval. So if you haven't walked from here to Marval, you should just do it and see for yourself. But we would really appreciate it, yes, for our seniors, but for everybody in Escalon. It's really an important project. So thanks again for your concern.
Peggy, thank you very much.
Mayor Swift, I understand this isn't the time or place to discuss the remedy to the problem, but I do have some suggestions when it's appropriate.
Okay. Is there anybody else from the audience?
Yes, Danny Fox, 1510 Adriana, and I've been here for a while, and I've almost forgotten 3 words in the English language. You know what they are? Would it be? Read my lips. I'll take my mask off, and then that way you'll be able to hear what I say. I echo and support Ann's work that she's done on this particular project. I'm fully aware of complaint-based code enforcement within Escalon, which has always been kind of ruffles my feathers. But anyway, I understand it. I understand that if someone wrote an email or made a phone call about a complaint with an issue, whether it be a residence or a business, someone in the city staff is going to send them a letter, cease and desist, or in some cases, fix it, or we come and fix it, and we're going to send you the bill. I understand that. I think it's a no-brainer, so to speak. If you have 150 or 65 citizens sign a petition and willing to come to a city council meeting on a complaint issue of that area on McHenry around Marval and Dollar Tree and in that particular area. And I don't know if it shows in one of those photographs because it didn't look real well, but one of the trees has pushed out the cement curb at least 2 inches from the sidewalk if you go there. So anyway, I submit to you that you probably should take a look at it. I think it should be agendized because you can't respond to anything right now. And I think it should be agendized so Ann can come back, give the same presentation, and have people come to comment and have some comment from the council members and city staff on the issue that faces the city on McHenry.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Danny.
Oh, I did forget one thing. I always forget. Congratulations on your appointment to the city council, and welcome back to town and the dais.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Dan.
Is there anybody else from the audience that's with us right now, in presence. Trying to find a good way to say that as a distinguish the audience here from the GoToMeeting audience and the phone audience. So, phone audience, is there anybody who'd like to speak their mind?
Hello?
Yes.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Kurt,
Hi. I'd like to say welcome back to Peter, too. Hope you're all safe and what have you. I'd like to show up at the council meetings, too, but I'm looking at you, and I don't think you take it seriously enough. Only the city attorney is there with a mask when he's not talking, which is a concern to me because I don't know what kind of protocols the city uses to clean or disinfect that portion of City Hall prior to meetings. Maybe you can address that, Tammy. And hopefully we all take it seriously because it is a real disaster in this country. I've been sitting at my house since March, and when I see people not taking it seriously, I wonder, what they think about, my rights to get out and be free too. So that's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
All right. Very good point, Kirk. Thank you very much. Anybody else on the phone that would like to speak their mind? GoToMeeting, anybody would like to speak their mind? No? Okay, seeing none, I'll go back to the audience. Anybody else like to have a word or two? No? Okay, then we'll close matters presented from the audience and we will go to the public hearing. Item number 5, and let's see, is this Tammy? Dominique?
Item, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item before you is the item we typically bring back on an annual basis in regards to adopting a resolution approving the 5-year financial analysis update, which includes pursuing more diverse endowment investment tools and approving the 2021 SJM SCP development fee as adjusted pursuant to the financial analysis model. In February of 2001, the Escalon City Council agreed to participate jointly and collectively with San Joaquin County and its incorporated cities to extend the neighboring land protection program in perpetuity by passing resolution number 09-01, adopting the San Joaquin County Multi-Species Habitat Conservation and Open Space Plan. SJCOG has engaged in the required 5-year financial analysis to the San Joaquin County Multi-Species Habitat Conservation and Open Space Plan fee and methodology used to calculate the fee. The last reviews were conducted in 2006, 2011, 2016, and most recently this year. The goal of these updates are to review and refine as necessary the adopted fee models which estimate the costs of implementation of the SJM SCP in compliance with the SJM SCP federal and state permits. The fee model defines 3 categories: Category A, acquisition; Category B, enhancement; and Category C, land management / administration. The 3 main areas of focus were the categories of the fee model regarding land costs to be used for mitigation, required restoration and enhancement costs on preserved lands, and monitoring, management, and administration of the program and preserves. Attached is the detailed staff report from SJCOG staff, which was presented to their board for review and consideration. This item is required to conduct a public hearing and be reviewed by the other participating cities / legislative bodies as well, which includes the county, Ripon, Lodi, Lathrop, Manteca, and Tracy. So attached to those documents are that staff report, and we do have staff available. Laurel Boyd is on the line, or should be on the line, if you have any questions regarding this item.
What does investment tools mean? I mean, this endowment, diverse endowment investment tools. Could you be more specific? What does that mean?
So I'd like to refer to Laurel if I can. Laurel, are you available on that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. We'll let her go.
So the endowment, it runs with the cost of the preserve. It's part of our enhancement we don't enhance every single preserve that we acquire, but we do provide some enhancements, mostly to grow and field crop ag type easements. And we work with the owner of the land. Sometimes it's to enhance like a drainage ditch or plant some trees on the fringes of the farmland as well. And then we have a land manager on staff on contract, and he's part of the Category C of the land management monitoring, and then the administration comes with myself and Steve Mayo, who run the Habitat program at SJCOG. The acquisition part of the fee is what we pay for the mostly ag land. We mostly acquire ag lands. We do have some grasslands that we also acquire, but that's sort of the working of the fee.
So if I understand you correctly, the endowment investment tools are improvements on property?
Well, we purchase easements. There's three different, well, we don't purchase them outright. Some of them we do, but we acquire an easement on somebody owns it, and we acquire the development rights, the surface entry mineral rights, and then the I already said development. Oh, and then no permanent crops on the land, and that acquisition goes towards that. The endowment runs with the property, so if in the future we want to enhance it, or the landowner wants to put some enhancements on, that money goes towards it. It also goes towards land management and monitoring. We have an obligation to monitor each of our easements to make sure that they're up to the agreements that we have between the landowner and SJCOG.
Once the landowner agrees to the purchase of the property for this type of what are you calling it? You're calling it a it's a what's the word? Oh gosh, dang it! We're talking about these lands we set aside. What's the name for that? They're called reserves. They're not reserved, but they're called, what are they called? They're called what is it?
Preservation?
We're buying this land, we're putting it in, out of the use, we're setting it aside for, what's the word?
Natural habitat.
Natural habitat and preserve.
That's what I'm looking for, thank you.
Whoever replaces me on COG will become extremely familiar with this, because Steve Mayo gives a report at every COG
Every
meeting
meeting,
on
okay.
the lands that they acquire, where they're at, what it costs.
Okay,
and
good.
what it's for, so.
My question next is, how does someone get out of it once they're in it if they want out, or can they?
Well, because, so the fee is for development. So if somebody impacts our entire county is mapped essentially for the habitat plan. And so if they impact ag, they pay the ag fee. Now we have a requirement to preserve that many acres of ag into an easement. And we have some time to do that because it takes time. Can you restate the question? I'm sorry. I'm a little
Okay,
nervous.
the question was, if an individual who's in one of these habitats would like to get out of the habitat,
Oh, to get out. Okay.
how is the way to get out if possible?
So those are mitigation dollars, and it would have to go to, I think, the courts or through some legal obligation to get out of it. And I know that a good chunk of our preserves are sort of blocking the twin tunnels. So if they were to put those in, they would have to mitigate at maybe a 5-to-1 ratio. So for every acre they want to take out, they have to give us 5 times that.
Wow.
most of our preserves are farming families in San Joaquin County, so they know that they're going to continue to farm. They are in perpetuity. We talk them through that. We carve out home sites, potential home sites for the future, so it's not, you know, we're not taking over their entire land. That the landowners have a negotiation, a contract, that sort of thing.
Normally speaking,
But it would have to have some sort of legal issue to get out of it.
Normally speaking, in a situation like this, what percentage of that land is common for landowners to put in the habitat? Is it 5, 10, 20, 30%? Or is there a formula for that?
What was the question again?
The question is, if, as a rule, when you put land into habitats and a property owner, his land or her land, or whoever's land it might be, is that generally a set percentage, or does it vary, and why?
We negotiate, Steve Mayo mostly, negotiate how many acres a landowner wants to put into an easement. It's mostly landowners that contact us. They want an easement over their land, and, you know, we suggest, you know, why don't you have a 2 to 5 acre carve out for a potential home site in the future? It's really up to the landowner.
Okay, thank you.
So there are items in the staff report as well, where they have multiple options, where they could pay the fee, redesign the project to avoid or minimize impacts, provide land in lieu of the fee, which the project will negotiate the easement, fee, title costs, category A component, or any combination of the above items.
Well, I was asked a while back how they get out, and I said, I don't know.
So the staff report mentions, because the county as a whole has this program going on, it's a streamlined process. So any big projects that move forward would typically go through this. But the project proponent can choose not to participate in the plan or opt out of the plan. But then they have to fulfill the mitigation requirements on their own, individually going to each state department or any federal permitting agencies individually, where this is like the one-stop shop for the county.
It's a big time.
Yeah, where,
Well, but, so you're talking about when somebody wants to develop, you are
Okay.
talking
No,
about
no,
when
no.
somebody's
Oh, yeah.
already in the
Right.
oh, already in there,
Yeah,
okay.
Well, they
so-
were in it, and they wanted to know if there was ever a way to get out of it, and I said, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not sure about that, but
Well,
I can
and-
look into that.
Well, and I think that's what Laurel was saying, is
Yeah.
they have to go, but
5
what
times
they,
the amount.
but they're gonna have to mitigate with
The land-
whatever they wanna pull out of that reserve, there's the potential they're gonna have to give back more than what that is, or find more than,
Because they
yeah.
gained the benefits during the process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes
The
sense.
impact of removal, yeah.
Now I understand it. Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and I'd like to, at this time, to go ahead and open up to the public for both the audience and GoToMeeting and the phone. No particular order, but if there's anybody who'd like to have a question, this is a good time, this is the time to do it.
Wow, 8,000.
From any of the three sources. No? Okay, going once, going twice. I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to council for any further questions and ultimately action.
I would move on staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move on staff recommendation to adopt resolution number XX-20, approving the 5-year financial analysis update, including pursuing more diverse endowment investment tools and approving the 2021 SJMSCP development fees as adjusted pursuant to the financial analysis model. Is there any discussion of the motion on the table? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please vote by saying nay. Motion passes 5-0. Administrative matters, item number 6. I believe this is Tammy.
It is. So tonight, I am asking the city council to authorize me to extend the current agricultural lease agreement for 1 year. in regards to our properties that, the 6.4 acres located at St. John and Catherine. In February 2019, we entered into a short-term agricultural lease, and then that expired at the end of December 31st, 2019. And at the request of the city, Tilbury Farms did extend it through November 30th of 2020. And they are interested in extending it for another year. The 6.4 acres are at the end of life, and there are several missing trees on the property. Due to the condition of the trees, there's not a desire for a longer lease unless the city is willing to do, at minimum, a 20-year lease. The property was at one time being considered to be utilized for a solar farm, which when explored was not a feasible project. There were also discussions to split the parcels and sell them. But there was never any action taken on either of those items. The crop proceeds are not huge from the property, but with the lease, it does provide maintenance of the property and does not require the city staff to perform that maintenance. In 2019, the city received $2,400 for the 2020 crop proceeds. In 19, it was $2,400. The 2020 crop proceeds have not been received at this time. We currently pay approximately $2,500 in property tax and $200 for irrigation tax. This does mean that there is still a small cost to the Parks and Recreation funds for that property. Unless the city council desires to sell or improve the property, staff recommends extending the lease to assist in covering the associated property cost and maintaining the property.
Okay, are there any questions or initial thoughts on this item? I do have a couple, so I want to. Well, basically this. I will point out, again, we've talked about this from time to time, and I want to center on this property, even though we have two properties that are in very similar situation. But again, the trees are now a year older. They're a year closer to the end of their life, and they're going to be a year more difficult to do anything with than any other kind of a lease with. I think that we do need to decide sooner rather than later if we're going to go ahead and improve the property. And I would also include improving the property as just going into a long-term lease. I would consider that as an option as well to improve the property, because right now we're not improving the property. We're constantly putting a decision off. If the best that we can do at this time is to go with this lease for another year, then that's fine. But I would really like to have us consider thinking long-term as what do we want to do with this property. And if I know we've had a million ideas bandied about over the years, and ultimately we're still at the point where we still have some aging almond trees. So, as I look into a crystal ball, it's a little fuzzy, but I don't know if I see any other option down the road, other than ultimately we may want to just go ahead and long-term lease this. If we're still uncertain about that, then let's just go with this another year.
What is our total negative on that property per year?
27, about $300.
That's nothing.
No.
I agree with you, Robert, in one way, but at the same time, I think another year to bound around wouldn't hurt us.
Yeah.
It's another year of brainstorming and see what we come up with.
Well, I agree. I'm saying we do this. I just really want to put the thought in our minds that, I see what we talk about, all the ideas that we talk about, and nothing ever seems to come to fruition. And ultimately, in the meantime, there are a lot of trees missing off this property. A property of this, this type with a full, complete set of almond trees and full production, I think it's going to net us some decent money for the recreation fund, which again, I remind everybody, this is one of two real funding sources for this fund. Without these two sources, okay, and with little bit of growth we have in developer impact fees, but really, these are the only two really consistent sources that we have. And so I just want to be able to see that we continue to get some monies into that rec fund. But yeah, I mean, if we want to think about this for a little more, then I'm definitely going to advocate this additional year lease.
The other thing too, Robert, in this situation, and there's a couple other ones that I won't bring up this evening, but I think part of our issue is that we don't really focus on it. I mean, how many times have you talked about that land with anybody about doing anything? I personally, not.
No.
Once or twice, that's about it. So what I'm gonna recommend, once next week when I become the mayor, if I do, is to basically suggest we have a committee on it. And that committee is gonna pound the road for a year until we figure out what we wanna do, and if we don't, then we go to the lease. But at the same time, we have like monthly reports on what we've done, where we're going, because we don't follow up.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough too.
Yeah, I think that's part of our problem.
You know.
If, I don't know if we'd ever find an answer, but at least we could try.
Right.
We haven't, in my opinion, done a lot for it. I've not seen a lot of written reports about what we've done to do anything.
But what I like about that is a definitive goal setting, and it runs,
Absolutely.
and I know I'm gonna be going across topics here, but it's much like what Ann was talking about at the beginning of the evening. Okay, you know, let's set ourselves X amount of time, and, you know, in
Absolutely.
other words, we give ourselves X amount of time, but at the end of that time, we have a battle plan that's solid and that we're gonna go with.
Well, the
You know.
thing we have to focus on is too, that if in fact we truly want to develop that into a recreational facility, we have to find funding for it.
Mm-hmm,
And that doesn't seem to be popping his head up.
no.
So in the combination of time looking for possible uses for the land, maybe we can also look for possible funding for the land. Because ultimately, that's what it's made for, is the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And now if we put the orchard in, and I understand that's an option, but that's 20 years, you can't touch it.
That is, I mean, and this is, now, I don't know if you'd be
So-
still willing to do the,
Well, you have to buy
Buyout,
it. You have to
but,
do a
yeah.
buyout, and then you would look at the cost of that versus, you know, there's all kinds of things you have to do.
Well, and our other property, that lease will be up next year. So really, if you were to set up a committee, it should really view both properties at the
Absolutely.
same time.
No, I don't
Yeah.
disagree.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
so I'm gonna leave it up to you. Either we do it tonight, or maybe we wait until the following meeting when you're in and you settle the committee. I think the committee idea is great. Yeah,
I think
let's
this
do that.
evening we should make a decision on the lease
Mhm.
for 1 year.
Yeah, and for one, I advocate for it,
Okay, I agree.
yeah.
I'd move on staff recommendation.
Do we want to open it up if anybody has any comments?
Yeah, either,
know if
either
there
now or after the motion is made, because there will be
Sorry, you're
option
right.
for debating a actual motion on the table.
I would second the motion.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to authorize the city manager to extend the current agricultural lease agreement with Tilbury Farms Incorporated for 1 year pertaining to the 6.4 acres located at St. John and Catherine. Is there any discussion of the motion on the table from either the council or the audience? Because now we're discussing a specific piece of business. Is there any discussion of the motion on the table? Yes, yes, please.
When you
That's
said
okay.
you were extending the time,
Mhm.
how much time?
For the lease?
Yes.
1 year.
Just 1 year, okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was, you know, if you extend it longer, it could be put on the back burner.
Well, right, and that's why I think what's important about what Mayor Pro Tem Alves said
What was,
is
I'm hardly hearing, I'm sorry.
he's gonna appoint a committee and to look seriously into different options as to what to do, you know, what we could do with that property. And keep in mind, the whole idea behind that property is the monies that go towards that go to our recreation fund. Many cities, the recreation fund is funded by developer impact fees, which means you're building houses and you're growing. Well, obviously, as you know, that's not really what we're doing here. So that property, as well as another property just north of Hogan, we take a certain percentage of revenue from every year's almonds, and that goes into that fund. For a town of our size, you know, good, well-producing orchards can keep the fund to fulfill many of our local needs, okay? So now we're coming close to a crossroads where what is going to be the best option for that property? And the thought tonight is to extend this lease for 1 year, spend this time via committee that I'm gonna hold off on. I'm gonna let Mayor Pro Tem Alves appoint that at the next meeting. Explore some options as to what we could do with that property to enhance those revenues. And at the end of that time, at the end of this next lease, if we haven't come up with a solid plan, then let's talk long-term lease with a new orchard. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. No problem. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions regarding the motion on the table?
Yeah, Danny Fox, 1510 Adriana. Looking at the figures, I think I need to correct, the money is the proceeds supposed to go into Parks and Recreation. But the last several years, there's been money coming out of the general budget or somewhere to put it in to offset the deficit. So,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's out of Parks and Recreation.
There's been no money put into Parks and Recreation for this particular property in the last 2-3 years. The money comes out of the Parks and Recreation to offset the deficit. So,
It comes out of general fund to offset the deficit.
No,
No, Parks and
But-
no,
Recreation.
it comes out of Parks and
but
Recreation.
my point is, this particular piece of property has not
Produced anything.
put anything into Parks and Recreation for several years.
Right.
So I make that point. The second is, Mayor Swift, you mentioned a few minutes ago that there's a lot of trees out there missing. How long have those trees been missing, I wonder?
I don't know how many years. All I know is it's been quite a while, and I forget the variety, but that variety is susceptible for blowover and that kind of stuff. And so obviously that wouldn't be the variety that you go back in with.
Yeah, well, I think, if you really looked at back 2 years ago, he has not replaced any of those trees at all. And that's probably one of the reasons why the proceeds and the production is as low as it is, because
Right.
if he had placed them there 3 years ago, that it had new trees at 3 years, with more crops and more proceeds to the city, so.
Right.
I don't know if he's gonna replace any more until maybe he gets the year's lease, but.
Oh, I'm sure.
That
Why would
that
he?
is correct. When we signed on with them in 2019, they indicated that there were a lot of missing trees, but without a long-term lease, they
Bingo.
weren't going to take that
Can't blame
action.
'em.
Okay, so you're
And
gonna,
the previous farmer before that, I'm not sure why they didn't put the trees in there,
right,
but.
so he's not gonna, put any trees and bring it up to a full orchard, just to extend another year.
Correct.
Of course not.
So if the trees that were dead and gone, not producing since 2019, and I go out there and count, there's another 10 or 15 non-produced, and they're dead, then you can be looking at next year, not only $300 out of the Parks and Recreation, but even if you do it a year, you're potentially looking at $500,
Well,
$200 loss.
yeah, no, you're right. And that's one of the reasons I keep arguing it's vitally important that if we're going to go ahead and go with, if our option is going to be long-term lease, that's fine. But keep in mind, we're looking at 3 years by your third leaf. I think you're waiting 3 years for any kind of production out of it. So again, you're going to have zero production for that amount of time too. So the longer we wait, the longer it's going to be before we can start getting any revenue back into that rec fund. And again, the missing trees, of course, it makes perfect sense. You know, why is a grower going to spend the time and expense of replacing missing trees? He's simply going to be doing it out of charity if he's leasing an orchard from year to year. And typically, you'll only do that at the very far end of an orchard's life, of which this is.
Well, but according to this, once again, the Parks and Recreation,
Might
at
be
the
more.
end of next year, or 2021 or 22, they're gonna be looking at a deficit from the Parks and Recreation to help pay the expenses.
Mhm.
Right. But if we didn't have the crop proceeds, we'd have to pay somebody to maintain the orchard.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Mhm.
We're gonna have a negative 300.
Yeah, no, we're treading water. We're
Yeah.
treading water.
Listen, it's,
Yeah.
give us one more year and see
Yeah.
what we can come up with.
I like that idea. Is there any further discussion of the motion on the table from either the council members or the audience? And any of the audiences, by the way, phone as well as GoToMeeting.
I do.
Yes, Kurt?
I have a question. First off, is that 6.4 acres within the city limits?
The what?
No,
He's
no,
on
it
the
is not.
The 6.4? Okay.
It's off of St. John.
Okay, well, that was my first question. Second question is, if you go another year or you go 20 years, why isn't the farmer paying the property taxes and the irrigation fee?
That's not what was negotiated in the contract.
Well, I think taking a loss on the land is just a win-win for the farmer there. A couple things, and maybe our city attorney can answer this. If we were to annex that property, Mark, would that eliminate the property tax fees because it would be within the city limits?
No, that you only eliminate the property tax if it's, for public use. So if there was some kind of public use on that property, then that's when the property tax is, not applied.
And there's no facilities out there either, that's the other problem we have.
Yeah, yeah, well, there's no public use on that property, so.
Are we currently paying it? Is there
Well,
any
I'm
property
gonna ask
tax
Mark
being-
the question
I have to
again,
push
if
this.
he would answer it.
No, go
Is
ahead.
there any property tax being paid or demanded
Yes.
on it?
Yeah, we pay approximately $2,500 a year for property tax.
Okay. That is something that's normally, I mean, it's not in the agreement, and it's not in the current extension. Okay.
So, but Kurt's question is, if we annex the property in,
Could we avoid it?
could we avoid the property tax?
Well, if the city, when the city uses it, we're not paying property tax. As soon as we lease it out and a private entity takes over, leases it, whatever, now a tax is assessed. And that's usually when you, and part of your agreements is, they have to pay that assessment. Because if we're using it on our own, we're not paying that assessment. As soon as it goes to a private individual,
Right, then they pay the assessment, yeah.
then they have to pay that.
Yeah. Kurt, you had another comment, I thought?
So, well, yeah, so if, the, people that, Public Works goes out and puts, a pile of gravel out there for future road use, is that use?
Would that qualify?
I don't think so. It's not in use for the public. It has to be
Yeah.
accessed by the, yeah.
That is a good thought. Yeah, but I guess no cookie.
Right. I think, Kurt, what you're thinking is, could we get around it, as long as there's a lease in there to a private entity, there's gonna be tax.
I think he's saying if we don't do the lease, could we get away from the tax?
Because you're gonna help.
To get away from the tax or have the, farmer renegotiate and pay the tax?
And I think when we went out and I was trying to find farmers to lease these properties, it was very difficult because of the ages of the property, of the trees. And really, bottom line was they weren't willing, I didn't have anybody willing to do property tax and take over those orchards on either property.
That's why the farmers left, they weren't making enough money.
Yeah, these trees are well past their prime.
Yeah,
They're
blame
gonna
them.
be, what, 25, 30 years old? I mean, they're way past it.
Oh, yeah, it makes good firewood.
Yeah. Okay, Kirk, thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the motion on the table? No? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion passes 5-0. And item number 7. Tammy, is this you?
Yes. So tonight, staff is asking council to approve a resolution approving the city manager to submit a grant application for per capita grant monies from Prop 68. The California Department of Parks and Recreation Office of Grants and Local Services, OGALS, announced the per capita programs allocation funded through the Park and Water Bond Act of 2018, Proposition 68. The per capita allocation for the city of Escalon is $177,952. While this figure is less than the minimum allocation of $200,000, it was derived by dividing the funds made available by the bond by the number of eligible entities. Additionally, $2 million is being subtracted from the OGAL's program delivery budget to supplement the allocation pool. 60% of the program funds are allocated to eligible cities and local districts other than a regional park and open space districts, and regional open space districts. Total available for cities and local districts was a total of $113 million, with 635 eligible cities and local districts. In addition to the above allocation, the city of Escalon is also receiving $4,619 in urban county per capita funds. These funds are allocated at a rate of 0.61 cents per capita to cities and districts in urbanized counties a county with a population of 500,000 or more, providing park and recreation services within jurisdictions of 200,000 or less in population. City of Escalon is eligible to receive a total of $182,571 of funds for qualified projects. The first step in the process is the passage of the attached resolution with submittal to OGALS no later than December 31st, 2020. The next step will be submitting an application packet with a proposed qualified project no later than June 31st of 2021. Funds are available for local park rehabilitation, creation, and improvement. Grant recipients are encouraged to utilize awards to rehabilitate existing infrastructure and address deficiencies in neighborhoods lacking access to the outdoors. Any property that the grant funds are used on will be required to have a deed restriction for 20 to 30-year period for recreational purposes only. This is similar to the restrictions placed on the previous property purchased by the city for a regional park. This restriction does limit the use of the parcel to only recreation or open space. For projects not serving a severely disadvantaged community, you are required to have a 20% match. The city will be required to match 20% of the project funds, estimated to be around the $46,000 range. Staff would propose that the project we consider would be a replacement bathroom at Hogan Ennis Park with a prefabricated bathroom. This project is being offered based on the completed survey in 2019, with the most desired project was the bathroom. The top two projects were upgrades to the bathroom and parking. In fiscal year 1920, we did complete the community center parking lot and created the overflow parking and replaced fencing utilizing the Parks and Recreation impact fees. In 2019, staff had projected an ending balance for the Parks and Recreation impact funds of $307,769. The balance as of June 30th was slightly lower at $266,894. The difference was due to unaccounted property tax expense, unexpected maintenance cost at the rental house, and less contributions from CDBG funds towards the community center parking lot. For fiscal year 2021, staff is projecting an estimated ending balance of $321,644 for the Parks and Recreation impact funds. These funds would be used to contribute the estimated match of $45,650, changing the estimated ending balance to $276,000. Staff does not currently have the total cost for the bathroom replacement project, and it is not necessary to have that project defined for the submittal of the resolution to OGALS. The resolution does authorize the city manager to execute the project application once the project has been confirmed.
So what point are we tied in with money? What point do we have financial skin in the game?
For the matching portion, so once our project would be accepted.
The specific project?
Yeah, so they would, once your project is accepted and you move forward, you have to front the monies for the project and then you seek reimbursement. So they would withhold that portion out of your reimbursements.
Okay, so this is merely just to start that process. And again, at this point, there's not going to be any skin in the game. I mean, financially.
Right. Yeah, this doesn't commit us to having to do a match or anything. It just allows me the ability to sign for a project to be submitted once that project has been defined.
That'll be, so any decision that's going to be involved, any monies or anything like that will be decided at a future council meeting.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
So the bathroom, is that like if you get the money, you have to build the bathroom? Is that the whole idea here?
Well, if you pick a project that you want to do and submit the project. So staff has just proposed the bathroom based on what our 2019 survey was, because that was the most requested item for improvement. And we would just completely revamp replace the bathroom that's at Hogan Ennis Park.
Well, before we went any further than that, I'd like to see the plans on that new bathroom and how it's constructed and what exactly we're talking about.
Sure, yeah, and it's not that that project is set in stone, it was just, a starting point
We've
for a
talked about it in the-
conversation.
We have talked about it in the past, and the way we talked about it in the past was it was gonna be a kit or a modular.
It
And
is.
I'm not in favor of a modular, so I'd like to see the plans, maybe I can change my mind, but
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I don't think that's the best way to go, but I'd like to look at it
Okay.
before we commit to it.
Well, and that's why, like I say, keep in mind, this is just to start that process.
Understood, I wanna
Yeah,
make sure we're
yeah.
clear on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm not signing off on it now, I'm saying,
Right.
I'm interested in getting the money,
Mhm.
but I'm not interested yet until I know more about that modular, whether or not it's the best way for the town to go,
Agreed, agreed.
that's all. Just wanna make it
Questions?
clear.
Questions? This is an actionable item.
Move on staff's recommendation.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to move, to recommend the city council approve resolution XX-20, a resolution of the city council of the city of Escalon approving applications for per capita grant funds. Is there any debate or on the motion, on the table?
And we need
You know what I'm saying?
Public comment.
Yes. Yeah. Public comment as well, of course. Please.
I would like to say, listening to it sounds like a good, way of getting some matching funds.
Mhm.
It's good that they have designated, watch out for the 20-year lock-in, can't do anything to, what you want, like, we, took 5 or 6 years to get out from underneath some of those covenants before, so I kinda like the plan.
Okay. Any other debate or comments on the motion on the table? And this goes for also for a go-to meeting as well as on the phone. Okay, seeing none, we will proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving resolution XX-20 to approving the application for per capita grant funds, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, council member Crumick.
Yeah,
Council Communications.
it's good to be back, and it sounds like there's a lot of interesting things going on. COVID hit, the military really hard too, and the way training was conducted, and so we kind of went through a unique cycle, if you will, and they're still going through it, and if anything, it just kind of added to the pressure. The greatest thing they like to say is if you don't pass certain things, we're going to keep you here longer. So everybody really wanted to pass everything and get out of there, not get COVID and all that. So I'm really sad that we're moving back to purple tier. That's really hard to go in and out and have businesses sort of open and close. And yeah, so hopefully something good comes about in the next couple months. But I'm just glad to be back and ready to get started, so thank you.
And by the way, thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Councilmember Legero.
Thank you, Mayor Swift. Just to echo the welcome back to Peter. It's good to have you back. It's nice to have community members that have taken an interest in a project, and I really appreciate the presentation from Ms. Shattuck. This has been an ongoing problem for many, many years. I remember Art Sipma coming down here when we were looking at those trees, and one of the considerations was to take the trees out because of the damage they were creating to the sidewalks. And there was just an absolute no from the community to pull those trees out. So then the pavers were one of the options. There's been other options along the ways, but clearly that's not working. So we really appreciate you bringing this to our attention to make it a priority. And it's really the community that sets the priorities here. We do the work for you, and if you and the community bring this issue to us and this is the priority, then this is what we need to figure out how to make it work. And I agree with you, walkability, the ability to get around this community is a big issue. I remember Danny talking about getting over the railroad tracks, over onto Main Street. And he'd push a stroller across there. It wasn't happening. So, these are ongoing projects, and again, it's the community brings us the priorities, and then it's for us to figure out how we're going to make that work. So thank you very much for the presentation and for all those that signed the petition and show an interest in this project, and for you to spearhead it. I think that's great. So we'll do what we can to come up with a plan forward on it and make it work. you know, the different councils over the years take the information that's presented to them at the time, and they make the best decisions that they can. Our goal as a council is to try and build on that and try and move the city forward. That parcel out there, that 6.4 acres that's been, you know, used to much good for the community, and it's a nice piece of property to have. It's an asset that we hold. Right now it's in a holding pattern. You know, we've looked at turning that into a solar farm. We've looked at other options to use it for public rec and different types of park space. So, you know, right now we're in a position to where I think by extending that lease for a year, and with the idea that there will be a committee to look how to utilize that property before the lease is up, I think that's important to make sure that we're going to use that to the best benefit of the community based on the circumstances we find ourselves in now. So it is an old orchard, but the property has value, and hopefully we will make some good decisions with what to do with that. It's helped us in the past get through some tough times, and it's nice to have assets. So you have to really think long and hard about what you're going to do with them if you think about getting rid of them or committing them to a purpose long term. So we're going to continue to look at that, and I like the way forward with that. So and again, thanks everybody for being here. Lastly, I really appreciate the in-person meetings. We can practice social distancing. We do this in the courthouse all the time. We have jurors all over the place. We have witnesses. So we're learning how to live with the current circumstances here. So I like the fact that we're in person. I like the fact that people still want to participate. We can do what we need to do to be safe, but I think public participation is key, and it's very difficult to do that if your only access is a computer. So thanks everybody for being here, and we'll keep moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And by the way, there's no such thing as bad internet within a room like this, so that's really nice too. We don't have to deal with that. Councilmember Merkin.
I too would like to thank those who came and speak tonight about the sidewalks. I think you brought this to the forefront again. I know we've talked about it in the past and dealt with issues in the past. And sidewalks are a problem all over the city. And I think probably one of the things we need to do with our plan is look at how much money we have for sidewalk repairs and to address the sidewalks like we do our streets. You know, I know Public Works goes out and they look at the streets, see which ones need to be repaired, and that's how we establish our plan. And I think we need to do maybe the same thing with the sidewalks, go out and take an inventory, because I know along Highway 120 between 1st and 3rd Street, there are some places where the sycamore trees have got the sidewalks like this, and that occurs various places around town. And I have a small spot, you know, in my neighborhood where this neighbor had a tree. The tree is gone now, but it's too late. The sidewalk is already raised up and has a lip on it like this. And during the recent citywide yard sale, I saw no less than 5 people trip over that thing. So I don't know whether, you know, we can address those or whether we need to mark it or what. But looking at these, my opinion is that the brick pavers need to be addressed first. This is a heavily traveled place. The brick pavers make it almost impossible for people to pass, and maybe we should look at those first and then address the sidewalks as we go along. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilmember Merkin. Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
And thank you for coming down this evening. I had the opportunity to spend some time with Ann, I don't know, maybe a month ago or something like that. I was inspired by her. She was so ambitious and was just full of energy to do something like this. And I said, yes, please do. And it's not because we at the city don't care about that sidewalk or take care of it, but it's always nice to have some input to give us a little push sometimes. As far as that sidewalk and the situation similar to that, we addressed that a few years ago, and one of the reasons we went to those pavers was because the cost was, at the time, and we didn't want to take the trees out, was another reason. So we used the pavers, and what we did is we cut back the base of the tree, and we had level surfaces. The problem is we didn't keep up on the maintenance. And the maintenance is a lot, and it's a lot of hassle, and I don't know why it never kept up, but it didn't. And consequently, what we have is a lack of maintenance. Now, I don't know what the answer is going to be in the long term, because those trees are always gonna be an issue. I thought possibly we could go around them and encroaching on the different properties around them to create a sidewalk that had like a loop in it to get away from them. And at the same time, put a barrier at the base there, at the root, so it wouldn't encroach on the new part we're putting in. Those are ideas we could share and work on. The other temporary solution I would recommend is to take those up and put granite in there like you do for the bocce ball, tamp it down and have people walk on that, and that would be something we could do as a temporary solution until we come up with funding and easements for the land that we need to get to do the other things. So those are some things we could bounce around on. But Ann, again, it's nice to see somebody follow through, and you did, and I appreciate that. I wish more of our community would get as ambitious as you are. And the other thing, we should probably put warning tape up and stuff. We haven't done that, and that's something we're a little negligent on that. I think we should make it obvious to people that's not an area to be traveled lightly. They should be totally cognizant of what the circumstances are. What was the other thing? And then next week's meeting, when we do the transition, that's gonna be a bit of a challenge for all of us, but we'll get through it like we do everything else. I don't know how we're gonna deal with, I don't know if I was gonna have something in my house or something if I become the mayor again, but we'll deal with that. I'll talk to my wife and then we'll see. But there's a lot of things next year I'd like to adventure into, and I'll save that for the next meeting, but there's a lot of things I'd like to see us do, and I know it's a lot on the plate and all that, but the bottom line is if you don't have dreams, what the hell are we doing?
Right.
Thank you. That's it.
Hey, thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Alves. Hey, I'm gonna echo what everybody else has been saying tonight without going into too much further. And very good presentation. Thank you very much. Everybody here knows what I do for a living, and I see this in the other towns I work into, and that's what, I don't know what the thing was 20 years ago. All the designers, let's put these trees in. And wrong tree, wrong place, wrong idea, wrong. And, you know, it's, and unfortunately now we're paying for the sins of our fathers.
We don't have a good history with tree planting.
Right, no.
Downtown can attest to it, football field area can attest to it. So it's something maybe we should look to in the future as a little more, have more scrutiny.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I know that there, even in our accepted trees, I know Dominique and I have talked about this in the past, you know, that the list that's there, I would really say, and I think we've talked about a few different options, and the actual different types of trees that you could put in a place like this. It's a very small list, okay? Very small list, if you have to do it. Everybody loves trees. I do too. Nobody's bigger, but still, this is not.
Nobody loves the maintenance is the problem.
Nobody loves the maintenance, and there is no magic bullet with this stuff.
There is one option. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I gotta say this. A couple of years ago, we came up with this before. This is nothing new. And I offered a suggestion. There's a website that has metal trees. And I know you laugh, but I'll tell you something. What's great about them is you wire them for sirens, for speakers, and they look pretty decent. And I would not completely rule it out.
Oh.
Because you never have to do anything to them.
That's true, yeah. I mean, like I say, now we're looking at a big expense, but we've got to meet that challenge, and we will meet that challenge. But yeah, so a couple other things real quickly. Christmas on Main, I think, trying to get the word out. Of course, it's going to be different this year, but the parade applications are out. The movie night information is out. The decorating contests for homes in town, as well as businesses, are out. And with no short contribution at all from your city manager here, Tammy Elkanner, has been doing a great job with helping out, spearheading the entire movie night concept, and it's working. It's going to work really, really well. That's on Friday, December 11th. We have all 3 service clubs in town helping to sponsor it, and so it's going to be a fantastic event. The other events are out too, and I want to make sure that you have, flyers for each event to get the Escalon Senior Fun Bunch, because I think that you had said something very important in terms of having these events still happen in town, and that is the holidays are coming, and this is going to be a tougher year than most. And I remember what you said, and you're very right about that. We got to give people something to look forward to in this town, especially our seniors. So thank you very much for making that very important point to me a few weeks ago, because it's right and it's true. reached out to the school district. You know, we're having joint meetings between city council, city staff, school board, and school district. They want to get that started up again. The only question is, do we do it now on Zoom or in person? So that's yet to be decided, but we'll be starting that. And yes, we are back in purple. I'm going to reserve my comments for that because we are filmed right now, and there might be children watching, and I really don't want to be saying what I really think about that right now. I will say one thing, though, and I'm saying this because I don't want to take away any thunder from the next meeting from Mayor Pro Tem Miles, and that's this. I tell you, it's been a complete honor doing this mayoral position for the last 2 years. It's been the honor of my lifetime. I've had the time of my life. We as a council have gotten an awful lot of things done. Yeah, we have a great staff to work with, great city attorneys to work with, great community members that are involved and active in the community. This town has so much going for it at this point, and believe me, the pleasure's been all mine for the last 2 years to see how we progress as a town and how we're going to continue to keep this community something special for all of us. And I thank everybody here for giving me the opportunity to be able to serve as mayor for you. And with that, we are going to be going into closed session. Thank you, everybody who came tonight, not only on the phone, the go-to meeting, but also in the live audience. And we will momentarily go into closed session. So.
This conference is no longer being recorded.